Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, April 3rd, and I'm joined here by Everest over here. She's my friend today to sit along for my video, and let's get started. Taking a look here, a few things. Reminder, I'm going to send out something on either today, a little bit today, and then on Monday we'll be doing a few changes. Looking at next week, most of it's going to be doing some more IXL for reading and math. So make sure you get your IXL account good. It'll be less of the everyday math stuff, less of that stuff, and more of the IXL. So just be prepared for that. I'll send out a message. But just so you guys know, if you need help getting into IXL, please let me know. There's that specialist class on Class Dojo. I had that earlier this week. So if you're looking for any of the specials like Mr. Warner or Mr. Newkirchen or Mr. Buckley, those are all in one different class on Class Dojo. Head on up, get that free breakfast, free lunch. They've had more and more people added each day, and that's great. That's a good way to do it. And I haven't seen Mr. Ritchie up there for a little bit, but I'm guessing he's going to be there soon. So go up there and look for them. If you have any questions for me, please email me. Send me a message on Dojo or send me an email. I love to hear from you. It was great. I got to see a lot of you for our Google Hangouts chat yesterday, once I got logged in anyway. But keep sending me messages. I love to know what you guys are up to, so I love to hear from you. I think most people did get Google Hangouts set up, but if you are having issues, let me know. And make sure you guys are staying home and staying safe. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. So academics for today, things to think about for math. Keep doing Prodigy. Do 15, 20 minutes every day. It's a really good way to keep up and keep fresh on those math skills. So keep looking at that. I did post a Kahoot in there yesterday. I posted a new Kahoot on subtracting fractions. I did put a video that went along with it as well. So if you have questions about subtracting fractions, hopefully that'll help. Reading, make sure you guys are reading every day. I do that. Social studies, I did post a video that wasn't from me, but I thought it explained advertising really well. And today I'm going to have a Socrative question up. I would love to know what your favorite TV commercial is. That's what I want to know. What's your favorite TV commercial and why? Is it funny? Is it interesting? I just want to know what your favorite TV commercial is. You guys watch TV. You guys have to sit through commercials. Thinking about advertising and stuff. I want to know what your favorite commercial is. That's what I want to know. And just tell me why you like it. Is it funny? Is there an actor in it that you like or an athlete that you like? Just tell me what you like about the commercial and why you like it and what they're advertising. Let's see. We got IXL. Make sure you take a look at that. And check out Mr. Buckley's posts. Some of them are still in that social studies section before I switched them over to the specials group, so you can check him out in social studies. And yeah, that should be good. So make sure you guys are staying active, and even if it's kind of rainy out, hopefully you can find something to do to keep active and exercising. Since it's Friday, I thought I'd put up a video from things that we did earlier in the year. This is from our reward day. This is from our reward day for those that reached their AR goal for second quarter. So put up some pictures here. Hopefully I got most of you in here. This one's a little hard to see, but some people falling in the bouncy house there. So I thought I'd put this up, kind of remind you of, something fun that we did. Some of you guys were shooting basketballs, and some of you guys were riding cars, but a lot of you were going up and down the obstacle course or the big slide or the bouncy house. So I thought I'd put this up there, remind you of something fun that we did. Here's our new story. We're going to start a new one. It's called The City of Ember. If you were in on my read aloud yesterday, I even read the back cover to you. And so I hope that you guys will enjoy this story. This story takes place in the future. So we've got kind of more of a science fiction flair to it. I haven't read one of those. This is a new genre. I haven't really read any science fiction. So this one takes place in the future. And it's pretty interesting. I do have a map that becomes pretty important to the story. So I did put a map up here. I even color coded it, trying to make it easier for us. So here's the map legend that tells us what's going on, and you can kind of see there's this subterranean river. Okay, sub means below, terra means land, so it's a river that's below the land, and that would go right here. We've got, this is the city of Ember. We've got a compass rose here. Lena is going to be our main character, and she lives here. I can color code it yellow to make it easy. There's Doom's apartment, which is right here. And we've got things, a kiosk. So we'll see what a kiosk is in the story, but a kiosk is kind of a weird word. If you ever go to like a big mall and they have like stores in the middle of a mall, like in the where you'd kind of walk, not like a store on the side, but like in the middle where you'd walk, those are often times called a kiosk. So they're kind of like a little help desk sort of thing. That's what a kiosk is. And then there's some public benches and a vegetable market here. So you can kind of see, here's the city of Ember. I'll keep this up and keep coming back to this each day so you guys can come back and see the map, because this plays a pretty big part to our story. All right, here's how it starts. It doesn't start with chapter 1. It starts with the instructions. When the city of Ember was built and not yet inhabited, the chief builder and the assistant builder, both of them wary, sat down to speak of the future. They must not leave the city for at least 200 years, said the chief builder, or perhaps 220. Is that long enough? Asked the assistant. It should be. We can't know for sure. And when that time comes, said the assistant, how will they know what to do? We'll provide them with instructions, of course, the chief builder replied. But who will keep the instructions? We can't trust to keep them safe and secret all that time. The mayor of the city will keep the instructions, said the chief builder. We'll put them in a box with a timed lock, set to open at the proper date. And will we tell the mayor what's in the box? The assistant asked. No, just that it's information they won't need and must not see until the box opens of its own accord. So the mayor will pass the box to the next mayor, and that one to the next, and so on down through the years, all of them keeping it a secret all that time? What else can we do? Asked the chief builder. Nothing about this endeavor is certain. There may be no one left in the city by then, or no safe place for them to come back to. So the first mayor of Ember was given the box, told to guard it carefully, and solemnly sworn to secrecy. When she grew old and her time as mayor was up, she explained about the box to her successor, who also kept it secret carefully, as did the next mayor. Things went as planned for many years, but the seventh mayor of Ember was less honorable than the ones who'd come before him, and more desperate. He was ill. He had the coughing sickness that was common in the city then, and he thought that the box might hold a secret that would save his life. So he took it from his hiding place in the basement of the gathering hall and brought it home with him, where he tacked it with a hammer. But his strength was failing by then. All he managed to do was dent the lid a little, and before he could return the box to its official hiding place or tell his successor about it, he died. The box ended up at the back of the closet, shoved behind some old bags and bundles. There it sat, unnoticed, year after year, until the time arrived and the lock quietly clicked open. So this is actually the start now, Chapter 1, Assignment Day. In the city of Ember, the sky was always dark, but the light came from the great flood lamps mounted in the buildings and on tops of the poles in the middle of the larger squares. When the lights were on, they cast a yellowish glow over the streets. People walked by through long shadows that shortened them and stretched out again. When the lights were off, they were between 9 at night and 6 in the morning. The city was so dark that people might as well have been wearing blindfolds. Sometimes darkness fell in the middle of the day. The city of Ember was old, and everything in it, including the power lines, was in need of repair. So now and then the lights would flicker and go out. These were terrible moments for the people of Ember, as they would as they came to a halt in the middle of the streets and stood stock still in their houses, afraid to move in the utter blackness. They were reminded of something that they preferred not to think about, that someday the lights of the city might go out and never come back on. But most of the time, life proceeded as it always had. Grown people did their work, and younger people, until they reached the age of 12, went to school. On the last day of their final year, which was called Assignment Day, they were given jobs to do. The graduating students occupied room 8 of the Ember School on Assignment Day of the year 241. This classroom, usually noisy first thing in the morning, was completely silent. All 24 students sat upright and still at their desks they had grown too big for. They were waiting. The desks were arranged in 4 rows of 6, one behind another. In the last row sat a slender girl named Lena Mayfleet. She was winding a strand of her long, dark hair around her finger, winding and unwinding it again and again. Sometimes she plucked at a thread on her ragged cape, or bent over to pull on her socks, which were loose and tended to slide down around her ankles. One of her feet tapped the floor softly. In the second row was a boy named Doon Harrow. He sat with his shoulders hunched, his eyes squeezed shut in concentration, and his hands clasped tightly together. His hair looked rumpled as if he hadn't combed it for a while. He had dark, thick eyebrows, which made him look serious at the best of times, and when he was anxious or angry, came together to form a straight line across his forehead. His brown corduroy jacket was so old that its ridges had flattened out. Hope you guys are kind of picturing this classroom with these people sitting in it, trying to get a visual image of this place. Both the girl and the boy were making urgent wishes. Doon's wish was very specific. He repeated it over and over again. His lips moved slightly, as he could make it come true by saying it 1,000 times. Lena was making her wish in pictures rather than words. In her mind's eye, she saw herself running through the streets of the city in a red jacket. She made this picture as bright and real as she could. Lena looked up and gazed around the schoolroom. She said a silent goodbye to everything that she had been familiar to for so long. Goodbye to the map of the city of Ember, with its scarred wooden frame and the cabinet whose shelves held the book of numbers, the book of letters, and the book of the city of Ember. Goodbye to the cabinet drawings labeled new paper and old paper. Goodbye to the 3 electric lights in the ceiling that seemed always, no matter where you sat, to cast a shadow on your head over the page you were writing on. And goodbye to their teacher, Miss Thorne, who had finished her last day of school speech, wishing them luck in their lives as they were about to begin. Now, having run out of things to say, she was standing at her desk with her frayed shawl clasped around her shoulders, and still the mayor, the guest of honor, had not arrived. Someone's foot scraped the back and forth of the floor. Miss Thornton sighed. Then the door rattled open, and the mayor walked in. He looked annoyed, as though they were the ones who were late. "Welcome, Mayor Cole," said Miss Thorne. She held out her hand. The mayor made his mouth into a smile. "Miss Thorne," he said, folding her hand. "Greetings, another year." The mayor was a vast, heavy man, so big that the middle of his arms looked small and dangling. In one hand he held a little cloth bag. He lumbered to the front of the room and to face the students. His gray, drooping face appeared to be made of something stiffer than ordinary skin. It rarely moved except for making a smile that was on it right now. "Young people of the highest class," the mayor began. He stopped and scanned the room for several moments. His eyes seemed to look look out from far back inside his head. He nodded slowly. Assignment day now, is it? Yes. First, we are to get education. Then we serve our city. Again, his eyes moved back and forth along the rows of students. And again, he nodded as if someone had confirmed what he said. He put his little bag on Miss Thorne's desk and rested his hand on it. What will that service be, eh? Perhaps you're wondering. He did his smile again, and his heavy cheeks folded like drapes. Lena's hands were cold. She wrapped her cape around her and pressed her hands between her knees. Please hurry, Mr. Mayor, she said silently. Please just let us choose and get it over with. Dewin in his mind was saying the same thing, only he didn't say please. Something to remember, the mayor said, holding up one finger. Job you draw today is for 3 years. Then, evaluation. Are you good at your job? Fine. You may keep it. Are you unsatisfactory? Is there a greater need elsewhere? You will be assigned. It is extremely important, he said, jabbing his finger at the class, for all work of Ember to be done, to be properly done. He picked up the bag and pulled open the drawstring. So, let us begin. Simple procedure. Come up and take one at a time. Reach into the bag. Take one slip of paper, read it out loud. He smiled and nodded. Then the flesh under his chin bulged in and out. Who cares to be first? No one moved. Lena stared down at the top of her desk. There was a long silence. Then Lizzie Briscoe, one of Lena's best friends, sprang to her feet. I'd like to be first, she said with a breathless high voice. Good. Walk forward. Lizzie went to stand before the mayor. Because of her orange hair, she looked like a bright spark next to him. Now choose. The mayor held out the bag with one hand and put the other behind his back as if to show he would not interfere. Lizzie reached into the bag and withdrew a tightly folded square of paper. She unfolded it carefully. Lena couldn't see the look on Lizzie's face, but she could hear the disappointment in her voice as she read out loud. Supply depot clerk. Very good, said the mayor. A vital job. Lizzie trudged back to her desk. Lena smiled at her, but Lizzie made a sour face. Supply depot clerk wasn't a bad job, but it was a dull one. The supply depot clerk sat behind long counters, took orders from the storekeepers of Ember, and sent the carriers down to bring up what was wanted from the vast networks of storerooms beneath Ember's streets. The storerooms held supplies of every kind: canned food, clothes, furniture, blankets, light bulbs, medicine, pots and pans, reams of paper, soap, more light bulbs, everything the people of Ember could possibly need. The clerks sat at their ledger books all day, recording the orders that came in and the goods that went out. Lizzie didn't like to sit still. She would have been better suited for something else, Lena thought. Messenger. Maybe the job that Lena wanted for herself. Messengers ran throughout the city all day, going everywhere, seeing everything. Next, said the mayor. This time 2 people stood up at once. Orley Gordon and Chet Nome. Orley quickly sat down again when Chet approached the mayor. Choose, young man, the mayor said. Chet chose. He unfolded his scrap of paper. Electrician's helper, he read, and his wide face broke into a smile. Lena heard someone take a quick breath. She looked over at Dewin pressing a hand against his mouth. You never knew each year exactly which jobs would be offered. Some years there were several good jobs, like greenhouse keeper, timekeeper's assistant, or messenger, and no bad jobs at all. Other years jobs like pipeworks laborer, trash sifter, and mold scraper were mixed in. But there would always be at least 1 or 2 jobs for electrician's helper. Fixing the electricity was the most important job in Ember, and more people worked at that than anything else. Orley Gordon was next. She got the job of building repair assistant, which was a good job for Orley. She was a strong girl and liked to work hard. Vindy Chance was made a greenhouse helper. She gave Lena a big grin as she went back to her seat. She'll get to work with Clary, Lena thought. Lucky. So far, no one had picked a really bad job. Perhaps this time there would be no bad jobs at all. The idea gave her courage. Besides, she reached the point where where the suspense was going to give her a stomachache. So as Vindy sat down, even before the mayor could say next, she stood up and stepped forward. The little bag was made of faded green material, gathered at the top with a black string. Lena hesitated for a moment and put her hand inside and fingered the bits of paper, feeling as if she were stepping off a high building as she picked one. She unfolded it. The words were written in black ink and small, carefully printed. Pipeworks laborer, they said. She stared at them. Aloud, please, the mayor said. Pipeworks laborer? Lena said in a choked whisper. Louder, said the mayor. Pipeworks laborer? Lena said again, her voice loud and cracked. There was a sigh of sympathy from the class. Keeping her eyes on the floor, Lena went back to her desk and sat down. Pipeworks laborer worked below the storerooms in the deep labyrinth of tunnels that contained Ember's water and sewer pipes. They spent their days stopping up leaks and replacing pipe joints. It was wet, cold work. It could even be dangerous. A swift underground river that ran through the pipeworks, and every now and then someone fell into it and was lost. People were lost occasionally in the tunnels too, if they strayed too far. Lena stared miserably down at her letter B someone had scratched into her desktop long ago. Almost anything would have been better than pipeworks laborer. Greenhouse helper would have been her second choice. She imagined longing the warm air and the earthy smell of the greenhouse, where she could have worked with Clary, the greenhouse manager, someone she'd known all her life. She would have been content as a doctor's assistant, too, binding up cuts and bones. Even street sweeper or cart puller would have been better. At least then should have stayed above ground. With the space and people around her, she thought going down into the pipeworks must be like getting buried alive. One by one, the other students chose their jobs. None of them got such a wretched job as hers. Finally, the last person rose from his chair and walked forward. It was Dune. His dark eyebrows were drawn together in a frown of concentration. His hands, Lena saw, were clutched into fists at his sides. Dune reached into the bag and took out the last scrap of paper. He paused a minute, pressing it tightly in his hand. Go on, said the mayor. Read. Unfolding the paper, Dune read, Messenger. He scowled, crumpled the paper, and dashed it to the floor. Lena gasped. The whole class rustled in surprise. Why would anybody be angry to get the job of messenger? Bad behavior, cried the mayor. His eyes bulged and his face darkened. Go to your seat immediately. Dune kicked the crumpled paper into the corner. Then he stalked back to his desk and flung himself down. The mayor took a short breath and blinked furiously. Disgraceful, he said, glaring at Dune. A childish display of temper. Students should be glad to work for this city. Ember will prosper if all citizens do their best. He held up a stern finger as he said this and moved his eyes slowly from one face to the next. Suddenly Dune spoke. But Ember is not prospering, he cried. Everything is getting worse and worse. Silence, cried the mayor. The blackouts, cried Dune. He jumped from his seat. The lights go out all the time now, and there's shortages of everything. If no one does anything about it, something terrible is going to happen. Lena listened with a pounding heart. What was wrong with Dune? Why was he so upset? He is taking things too seriously, as he always did. Miss Thorne strode to Dune and put a hand on his shoulder. Sit down now, she said quietly. But Dune remained standing. The mayor glared. For a few moments he said nothing, but he smiled, showing a neat row of gray teeth. "Miss Thorne," he said, "who might this young man be?" "I am Dune Harrow," said Dune. "I will remember you," the mayor said as he gave Dune a long look, then turned to the class and smiled his smile again. "Congratulations to all," he said. "Welcome to Ember's workforce. Miss Thorne, class, thank you." The mayor shook hands with Miss Thorne and departed. The students gathered their coats and caps and filed out of the classroom. Lena walked down to the wide hallway with Lizzie, who said, "Poor you. I thought I picked the bad one, but you got the worst. I feel lucky compared to you." Once they were out the door, Lizzie said goodbye and scurried away, as if Lena's bad luck were a disease she might catch. Lena stood on the steps for a moment and gazed across Harkin Square, where the people walked briskly, bundled up and cozily in their coats and scarves, or talked to one another in the pools of light beneath the great street lamps. A boy in a red messenger jacket ran towards the gathering hall on Otterwell Street. A man pulled a cart filled with sacks of potatoes. In the buildings all around the square, rows of lighted windows shone bright yellow and deep gold. Lena sighed. This was where she wanted to be, up here, where everything happened, not down underground. Someone tapped her on her shoulder, startled. She turned and saw Dune behind her. His thin face looked pale. "Will you trade with me?" he asked. "Trade? Trade jobs. I don't want to waste my time being a messenger. I want to help save the city, not run around carrying gossip." Lena gasped at him. "You'd rather be in the pipeworks?" "Electrician's helper is what I wanted," Dune said. "But Chet won't trade. Of course, pipeworks is second best." "But why?" "Because the generator is in the pipeworks," said Dune. Lena knew about the generator, of course. In some mysterious way, it turned the running of the river into a power of the city. You could feel its deep rumble when you stood in Plummer Square. "I need to see the generator," Dune said. I have ideas about it." He thrust his hands in his pocket. "So," he said, "will you trade?" "Yes!" cried Lena. "Messenger is the job I wanted most. Not a useless job at all, in her opinion. People wouldn't be expected to trudge halfway across the city every time they wanted to communicate with someone. Messengers connected everyone and everything else. Anyway, whether it was an important message or not, the job of messenger just happened to be perfect for Lena. She loved to run. She could run forever, and she loved exploring every nook and cranny of the city, which is what a messenger got to do. "All right, then," said Dune. He handed her a crumpled piece of paper, which he must have retrieved from the floor. Lena reached into her pocket, pulled out her slip of paper, and handed it to him. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome," said Lena. Happiness sprang up into her, and happiness always made her want to run. She took steps 3 at a time and sped down Broad Street toward home. Chapter 2 is a message to the mayor. So, that's the first chapter of The City of Ember. Hope you guys are liking it. Kind of that science fiction-y story. Takes place in the future. All these mysterious things are happening. So I think you guys will enjoy it. Hope you guys do. I hope you guys have a great day and a great weekend. It is Friday after all. So I will see you guys back here on Monday. I'll have some more announcements coming out and what stuff to work on. So if you have any questions at all, please let me know. But I hope you guys have a great day. And make sure you post on Soccerdiv. And I'd love to hear from you if you have anything. So have a good day, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.